house should be calm. It should be a retreat. The world is busy. People's jobs are busy and sometimes stressful. So when you come home, you should be able to really unwind and relax. Rooms that have a good shape, good feel, good proportions, good daylight, all contribute to how you feel. We have architects and interior designers on staff. We work hand in hand, so our work is complementary and the process is more seamless. While each staff member might have certain specialties, we try to work in a very seamless manner so the design work is more holistic.
We're here in Walker's Point with Josh, principal of Studio Ehr, for an interview about his company and their services. We were talking, I think, before the cameras really started rolling about your process, and you were talking to me about how you start with an initial visit with the client. Let's back up a little bit. How do people find you for the most part?
So far, a large part of our inquiries have come through general contractors. So a lot of people go to a general contractor first for some reason, and then they refer them to us. But otherwise, we have some marketing through Instagram. We have yard signs you might see around the city in some of the suburbs. But that so far has been our main way of getting our name out there.
And how long have you been practicing?
Well, I've been practicing for about 15 years now, but we started this firm about 3 years ago.
And tell us a little bit about your experience in the past, and then a little bit more about what your practice focuses on now.
For most of my career, I've worked at really high-end firms that build custom projects or design custom projects. I have extensive experience in residential design. I've done a lot of commercial as well. I've been lucky and fortunate that all the places I've worked, it's always been a very high level of design and service to clients.
Yeah, so that's our focus too, and it's great to be able to work in that market because people are excited about the materials we get to use. Sometimes people are less budget conscious and really more quality focused, which allows us to work on some really neat details that you don't get to see every day on normal houses. Back to how people find you, I think, why people come to builders in Wisconsin is the marketing that the industry has done for the last 30 years and the attraction to design build. We're a build only firm. You're an architect. My family comes from the East Coast. We would never think to go to a builder to start the project. You always start with an interior designer or an architect, depending on the scale of the project and whether you're moving structure or not. Have you ever encountered a client who is comparing you to design build, or are people you're dealing with more sophisticated than that usually?
I'd say a fair amount of projects we are competing with design build, and there are some talented design build firms in the area. My message usually is that I think you let people do what they specialize in. So architects and interior designers, I find the very talented ones usually go to work for the design firms, and the really talented contractors, they build. While there are some good design build firms in the city, I think, and just in my experience, all the talented and ambitious designers go work at the design firms. So to a homeowner, I would say, work with people that specialize in their field, and you'll get a much better result.
That's exactly our message. And in addition to that, we also say that the beauty of working with an architect and a designer, even though we encourage the builder to be involved at the beginning as far as pricing is concerned and budgeting, because oftentimes, especially post-COVID, the pricing has been so fluid that, someone can give an architect or a designer a budget, but really, unless there's a builder involved, even as builders, we sometimes don't know what it's going to turn out as, but we're doing so many reps that we're able to get within 10% based on an initial scope. If you start with a designer and an architect independent of the builder, but still engage the builder, you own that plan. If you don't get along with the builder or they don't come in on budget that they promised you, you can walk away with that plan, and it's not a sunk cost that you feel that you need to stay with that builder. And we really want our clients to feel that they want to work with us rather than they have to work with us. And I think that trust and how smooth the process goes really makes people feel comfortable about the way the project is going to be executed and the professionalism and transparency with which our company does business, and I assume yours as well.
Yeah, we always recommend to a homeowner or other type of client that having a general contractor on board from the beginning is the best way to go. Then we can move forward as a complete team versus a general contractor coming in maybe midway through the design process. Well, we'll be more in the lead early on. The general contractor will assist in, estimating constructability issues.
Yeah, detailing.
Yeah, and it's very helpful. And we can turn to the contractor and, ask, if we move in this certain direction, what budget or schedule impact will that have?
Yep.
So it makes the process move a little more fluidly and in some cases a little quicker.
Well, how do you combat the sort of the fallacy that an open discussion about budget shouldn't happen at the beginning of the project? We find that most people who are hesitant to share their budget think we're going to spend all the money, or think that, we work in high-end construction, like, these numbers don't phase us at some point.
Yeah.
But for these people who don't do it every day, it's a tremendous amount of money, and contractors and tradespeople in general have, unfortunately, some negative connotations based on past behaviors from mostly exterior contractors, but there are a lot of laws around it based on people with unscrupulous tactics and salesmanship. So how do you coax a budget out of someone so that you make sure something's buildable?
It's situational. Like, every project is unique, and every homeowner has their own goals that they want to achieve. Every project we work on, it's always a balance. We're approaching it very thoughtfully, and we're listening to the homeowners, and we want to balance their project goals, how they want their lifestyle to be in this new building or remodel. What is their ideal or target budget? And then what is the timeline they're on?
Yep.
When do they want to start construction? When do they want to finish? Often someone will have, or a homeowner will have a budget in mind, but sometimes that budget evolves once the design process starts, because ideas might be uncovered that they never thought about, and they're really exciting, and they might, want to try to go for that. So sometimes the budget will increase a little bit. At the beginning, we try to establish like a target budget. Typically, we have a general contractor that we trust as part of the early part of the process, even if the homeowner doesn't ultimately work with them, just to have a general understanding between homeowner, contractor, and us as the designers, that this is what we're aiming for. The design will be tailored to this budget range. And then sometimes we'll show an option or two that might push it a little bit, but sometimes I think it's worth it because it's something they didn't expect and might really enhance the livability of their house.
Sure. So let's go back to the process. They found you. Is there a screening call on the phone to discuss, the basics, and then where does it go from there, or how does that go?
Yeah, typically we'll start with a phone call, and we'll talk through the project goals, what's working, what's not working. If it's a remodel, if it's a new build, usually it's just we might reflect on where they live now and how they live now and how they want to live in this new home. And then after that, we'll follow up with an in-person meeting, usually at their house. And then they could walk us through and kind of talk about how they live, what they want out of this new design project. And from there, if it all works out and once we sign a contract, we'll start the design process.
So is the initial meeting complimentary and then you're providing a design proposal from there, or are you billing at the initial meeting to come to that?
Our first meeting is complimentary.
Okay. And then a design proposal is drafted from there. And then is that multi-part, or is that takes you all the way through construction drawings?
The proposal takes you through the end of construction. So we're a full service firm. So we're with you from the beginning of the project all the way through the end of construction. And our process usually breaks apart in about 3 to 4 phases. The first phase being schematic design, where we're going to work through and develop concepts. And that's a process where the client will give a lot of feedback as to what they like and maybe don't like through that process, which helps refine the work. And then we end that process or that phase with a preliminary pricing set. And that's about 50% through the design process. And at that point is when we want a general contractor to bid on the project. And that kind of establishes an initial midpoint budget, just to make sure we're on track and that the project is aligning with what the homeowners are hoping for. And then once they approve that budget, we move into the second phase of design, which is construction documents. And that's a period where we'll be, further detailing the drawings. If we need to do any revisions to the design work, we can do that then, such as if the budget came up a little higher than we anticipated in that preliminary pricing, we can revise comfortably and have plenty of time to do that. And then once construction documents are complete, construction begins. And then we are with you to the end of construction, providing that extra layer of quality control. I always advise, every project that turns out really well, we're always involved to the end.
Sure.
Because creating a set of construction documents and specifications, we can have all the information, all the design intent in there that will produce a very beautiful project. But I always say to a homeowner that the act of construction is also the act of translation, because we're giving you this instructional booklet of how to make this beautiful, house. Even though the contractor is part of the project from early on, they still have to decipher pages and pages of drawings and specifications. So we're there to assist in troubleshooting, answering questions, guiding that design inquiry process from the contractor. That's why we like to be with a homeowner through the beginning to the end of the project.
So construction administration is hourly or included in the price?
It's included in our total fee.
And it's not an option. It's a standard.
It's a standard practice. Yeah.
I think that's great. I mean, that's really help as a builder. That's what we want, and I think how the best result occurs, because translating your vision into reality, well, the best plan may be laid. There's always some questions, and an open-ended bill for some clients is very disconcerting. So to have that included is, I assume, a big selling point.
Yeah, and it's in the initial proposal. It's all laid out, and our fees broken into each phase. So a homeowner isn't responsible for the entire fee at the beginning.
Sure.
You compensate us as the project proceeds forward.
Sure.
So you're paying for the work that's done.
A little bit more about your services. Do you offer interior design services as well?
We do. We offer architecture and interior design because we want to approach a project in a holistic way. So merging those two disciplines together produces a better result.
And can you talk a little bit about your team and how that work is divided?
We have architects and interior designers on staff. We try to work hand in hand, so our work is complementary and the process is more seamless. So while each staff member might have certain specialties, we try to work in a very seamless manner so the design work is more holistic.
Can a client come to you with any style home and expect that your architecture will mirror their expectations, or is there a certain type of project that's right in your wheelhouse that would be your preference?
Well, we work in many styles. We don't have a defining style to the firm. When you look at our work, you'll see an overall design language. Our work is very calm, edited, very refined. It has a simplicity to it, a calmness. We work in, both a contemporary homes or more historic or traditional homes. But we carry that design language through every project. So right now we have a couple of projects in very, 100-year-old homes. And then we have others that are new and very contemporary.
Sure.
But we just want a level of quality, refinement, and elegance to be present in all the work.
I think on the last project we worked together, I was most moved by the casework and sort of I don't even know, I'm not an architect, so I don't know, but it almost felt like the casework defined the space and gave each room a separate meaning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a personality.
Yeah. Is that part of your ethos going through all of your projects, or is that just that particular project that we worked on?
No, you really nailed it. I mean, casework, similar to walls, defines space. So, and it can provide a nice backdrop to that space or room. So in that particular project, the cabinetry or the casework gave each room its own personality and was integrated and built into the architecture. So it had a more refined feel to it.
Yeah.
And in that case, the level of cabinetry and the material that was used was, brought it to the next level. In all our projects, we try to use, natural materials as much as possible because they have just more warmth, more richness. They will age or patina over time in some ways, which is very nice. So that project was a good example of that integration of, warm, rich materials, that built-in feel. And I think that house will stand the test of time.
I think we're trying to build heirloom quality homes. And we always tell clients that our goal is to never see you again for the same room.
Yeah.
So we'd love to see you for another room, or if we did your whole house, we'd love to see you for your lake house. We didn't do our job properly if we're there for the same room. And for that reason, we don't do a ton of AV integration behind the walls and try to keep the smart features of the homes upgradable.
Yeah.
My parents' house is a perfect example. They had the 4:3 aspect ratio casework for the TV, and now everything's 16:9. And a 32-inch TV fit where a 40-something fit before.
Yeah.
And that would be an example of something that, we try to look forward and avoid a situation like that, because everything we do is especially when we're talking about millwork, is incredibly expensive. So try to avoid ever doing that again in your life and build it to last with the best hinges and the best materials.
Yeah, and achieving that level of timelessness or heirloom quality that you mentioned, that's our goal. We don't want a trend or technology to take over our design. We want it to age gracefully, be cared for over time by the homeowner that commissions the design, but also by future homeowners that move into this house down the road. We want that, the home to be cherished.
Yeah. If you see it at Target, we're not building it for you.
No way. No.
Back to the design build portion, we see so many times that we're going back to fix what people did that either wasn't timeless or was not well thought out. I can't tell you the number of doors that I see on a 45 because people's space planning just isn't correct.
Yeah.
As an architect, do you start with the interior or start with the fenestration, or is there a way you're trained, or is that down to the individual designer?
I mean, I can't speak for too many other designers, but I mean, we like to work inside out and then outside in. To me, space planning is one of the most important early parts of the project. We're looking at all aspects of the project through space planning early on. I mean, even materiality through space planning. So when we're laying out a plan for a new home or a remodel, we're taking into consideration everything even down to a potential furniture layout per room. So the room is sized right to make sure there's very beautiful daylight that enters the space throughout the day. And that house we worked on together to make sure all the cabinetry is integrated seamlessly, where the room feels very comfortable and at ease. Early on, that's one of our big focuses. And then we layer on all the other elements, such as, additional materiality. Depending on where the home is located and the context it's in, or the neighborhood that it's in, we'll address exterior fenestration or the general look and feel of the exterior, so it's complementary with the neighborhood.
Sure.
All of our work, we don't really want it to stand out, but in a good way. We want it to feel like it's always been. So whether that's a contemporary house or something that has a little more of a traditional feel to it, we want something to drive by it and think that it's just always been there.
Yeah. I mean, we've done our job incorrectly if someone can tell that it's an addition unless it is designed specifically to look like an addition, like the grade listed homes in Europe, where they'll put a very modern addition or glass piece on the back by requirement of a historical preservation order. But if it's an addition that's meant to look like the rest of the house, you shouldn't be able to tell that there was an addition ever made.
And an addition may have some differences, and we're okay with that. We don't want it to be jarring.
Yeah.
We want it to be complementary, have some continuity, so maybe some features are brought into the new house, or some of features from the new addition are brought into the old part of the house. But, our lifestyles are different today. So certain parts of the addition in that case, or the existing house, may have to change a little bit to accommodate our needs now. But as long as we retain the essential character and feel of that house, then I think we've done a good job.
When people come to you and you're discussing the initial program of the house, what are some of the major requests that people have in your practice these days?
Well, there's people go back and forth between open concept and rooms being more divided.
Yeah.
That again is a personal lifestyle preference. Some people like the open concept because it feels spacious and everyone's kind of together. Other people want a little more quiet and separation. Kitchens can be loud.
Yes.
So some people want that to be away from the main living area. Every homeowner is different and has their own preferences, and we accommodate that.
When you get a client who wants an open concept house and may have never lived in an open concept house and not understand the ramifications of that, how do you mitigate some of the noise and sort of the violence of a kitchen?
Yeah, so a good example is the one we just worked on together. Typically people want open concept because they want everyone to be together in one room while someone's cooking and someone's sitting on the couch watching TV or whatever. What we would like to do is we like to have, we call it like the open concept area, like a family room where it's like kitchen, small sitting area, and a dining room or dining table. And then if your house permits, if there's enough space, have a separate, more formal living room that's away from all that noise. So you have a place to retreat to away from the noise when you don't want to be part of that action. That's typically how we overcome, maybe some of the downside of open concept. Because there's many benefits to having that. It's nice being all together while you're doing different activities, but sometimes you do want to get away to a more quiet area of the house.
I see a lot of design magazines and publications online, especially with maybe southern homes in Florida that are a little bit larger, going to 2 islands. Has that been something that you've had requests for yet or not?
We've had requests for that. I don't think we've built any homes with 2 islands yet. There's always a limit. Sometimes a kitchen can become too overwhelming with so many islands. But again, it's a homeowner preference. If sometimes they may want an island to be a table versus just like a work surface. So that might be one instance where you might have a separate work island and a separate, entertainment or dining table island.
Yeah. We've seen that the majority of our clients now in kitchens are going to 2 dishwashers as a standard at this point. And one of the other things, laundry in the master, or at least on the second floor if you have a 2-story house. Those have been sort of the standards that in the last 10 years have really changed. People are not going down to the basement anymore, and they do want a second dishwasher to do glassware or something. If you're having a party, most people don't have that much glassware or china.
Yeah, a second dishwasher is nice. Sometimes if you have if your pantry can double as like almost a secondary kitchen.
Yeah, we see a lot of butlers' pantries too.
So if you're having like a party or entertaining, all that mess that's generated could be put back there and cleaned while the main kitchen remains functional.
Yep.
Because usually everyone gravitates towards the kitchen.
Yep.
It's kind of the new living room.
Yep.
And then in terms of laundry, having laundry on the second floor to us is standard now.
Yep.
You generate all of your laundry on that level, or wherever the bedrooms are, that's where we usually have laundry.
Yep.
In some old homes that we work in, we actually remove the laundry chutes once we relocate laundry up to the second level.
Yeah, it's part of the closet that we push it right into.
Yeah.
So those are essentials. As an architect, what else do you think is essential to living well that maybe people don't think about?
I go back to just our ethos. A house should be calm. It should be a retreat. The world is busy. People's jobs are busy and sometimes stressful. So when you come home, you should be able to really unwind and relax. So back to just space planning, rooms that have a good shape, good feel, good proportions, good daylight, all contribute to how you feel in your house. And on top of that, budget dependent, having really quality materials. So again, like the natural materials are always going to give you the best feel because they have the most richness to them. Woods and stones. So those are some of the ingredients that we always look at to create a very, inviting and comfortable home.
Do you find that working with only a few materials in a house or a few primary materials creates that calmness, or are you creating that elsewhere?
Yeah, our designs are always very edited. So we try to accentuate just a couple materials. I mean, specific rooms may have their own needs, so those might take on a different appearance or style, such as like a bathroom or something.
But otherwise, you have wood, stone, glass, or wood.
That's usually our goal. We don't want the house to become busy, and even when we select those specific materials, though, we want the quality of those materials to work really well together to enhance or accentuate that sense of ease and calm.
Do most of your projects have the budget, or do you find it important to do a light study, or are you not worried about necessarily lighting conditions based on the
artificial lighting?
No, natural lighting.
Well, I mean, daylight's always critical. It's another material. So the combination of daylight and, depending where you live, the views out are critically important. Having a good indoor-outdoor connection even, makes your house feel larger to some degree. It makes you feel more connected to the outside. A great view is even better than a great painting on a wall. That view is, part of that room and extends that room into the distance.
What else are we missing about your firm that I should be asking you?
Well, we are essentially a one-stop shop. We offer architecture, interiors, and furnishing. So you can get a turnkey project from our company. We can accommodate any need you have for a project. Those services can be used individually, or you can do the complete package and have a turnkey project.
Is there an architect or a school of architecture that has influenced you most in your career?
There hasn't been maybe a singular architect, but there's been maybe like a school of thought that has. I like some of the modernist or contemporary architects that have that very subtle, refined, elegant approach. And then I also admire a lot of the classic or historic architects that created buildings that we cherish to this day. I think melding those two influences together really informs our practice. It's the ingredients from each of those schools of thought. And when you kind of marry them together, you create something, I think, a little more special. That merge of the old and the new kind of creates this beautiful fusion that I really think will create timeless architecture moving forward.
Do you have pillars or a mission statement for your firm, like previous architectural movements or architects have had, that you think has defined your career thus far?
I mean, our general mission statement, it's kind of what we discussed of creating very authentic work. Right now, where we are as a firm, we work in many different styles because people come to us who live in older homes, or some people want very contemporary work. And we feel we're pretty fluid in both. One thing we say in our initial, I wouldn't call it a mission statement, but just like a overview of the firm, is that we create refined and elegant solutions that are tailored to your lifestyle at any budget or scale. We have some projects that the budgets are kind of tight, but we could still produce very beautiful work for those homeowners. And we have other projects where the budget's larger, and we have a little more flexibility in how we can approach the project. But I really, truly believe that you can create very beautiful spaces on almost any budget. It just takes a very thoughtful and creative approach to achieve that.
Is your firm working on any sort of cutting edge construction science as far as the envelope is concerned, or do you take a more classical approach?
Well, in terms of like sustainability or?
Yeah, so I've always been a student of construction science, and it's very difficult to include it in the budget for many people because it's the first thing that gets cut. Mm-hmm. But I'm a huge proponent of great details with exterior insulation and great waterproofing details. Mm-hmm. And most architects will nerd out on this with me, but it gets cut out almost every time. Yeah, I don't think I can think of one project where we've done anything past zip R, maybe. Even though people have money in Milwaukee, people are very reticent to spend it on their homes because it's not an appreciating market like, well, Whitefish Bay is, but outside of Whitefish Bay, it's not a heavily appreciating market like New York City or Austin, Texas, or something like that, where people will spend an extra $500,000 for energy efficiency or a tighter envelope, which as builders is what we love to do because it stretches us to our limits. But people in Wisconsin seem to be building the same house for the last 30 years. I'm trying to change that, but I'm a one-man army and it's difficult.
Well, I mean, I don't have a good answer for that in terms, like, I think the industry has kind of pigeonholed itself a little bit. Like, all the estimating and pricing is based on a very standard level of construction, which is still quality.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. Like, we do plenty of in-house research on green building techniques that we would love to implement more. But like you said, depending on the client's willingness and how much they want to spend on that feature that they'll never really see, but they will probably feel it if they do it.
Yeah.
And the house will be more comfortable, probably quieter even, in addition to just warmer or cooler depending on the season.
Better air quality.
Definitely. So it has been a little difficult to, bring that to the forefront to homeowners that maybe already are unsure or just they don't know about it. So we're still trying to find ways to incorporate that into our early messaging.
Yeah. For us, it's not even an environmental thing. For us, it's just building a 100-year home minimum. And for waterproofing, Wisconsin is such a harsh climate. Mm-hmm. We're one of the most expensive markets to build in the country, and one of the harshest climates in the lower 48. And we can do better than Tyvek and OSB. So
yes, definitely.
We need to ask you what your favorite restaurant is, because we ask everyone
oh my gosh.
what your favorite restaurant in Milwaukee is.
That's the hardest question that we've done so far. Well, nowadays we don't get out as much having with children, but our go-to is usually La Miranda.
Okay. We've gotten it. I think La Miranda's got three points for them. We'll put them up on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
So, all right. That shares. There must be an architect meeting at La Miranda in the back room. They got a great outdoor space, but they need to redo their facade. You guys all need to march in there and tell them they need a new facade.
They can give us a call.
Yeah.
Another one that we really like that's close to home is Good Kind.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like tucked in the neighborhood. It's really great.
Yeah. I like their chicken, right?
That's what they're known for.
Yeah. Their rotisserie chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great. Anything else before we wrap up?
No. This has been great.
It's been great. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah. Thank you.